Hi, this is Danny Hammond. I'm from Kansas City. Most of you know me working with consumer finance protection, mainly in the form of foreclosure, assignment of documents that you can't assign, mostly the security instrument in your deal. And this particular video is going to be in 2 or 3 places. Also, I've got a development like the Ozarks that I need to get on because I've been doing this so long that I'm going to, my wife's going to give up on me if I don't make money like I used to. So I've done the right thing. I've tried to help people, and I've tried to help myself. And I'm not going to quit that, but I am going to branch out into other parts of real estate. And what I've been watching with the coronavirus deal is the Zoom seminars, the Zoom classes, and I've always wanted to teach. And my biggest frustration is that I can't help one family at a time. I can't do it. It's we're not going to win the war. There's way too much against us. So anyway, first Zoom class is coming up. It would be good for this particular. What some of you are looking at is the Boulevard Real Estate Consulting of Kansas City vlog blog, and this is the vlog part of the vlog blog. And of course, on Foreclosure Solutions Group, the Foreclosure Solutions Group website. And I'm going to have underneath this, you'll be seeing links that I want to go to. But what I want to talk to you right now, and this is going to do, I'm going to do a free Zoom class coming up because the only the purpose of it is I'm going to suggest topics. And as I look at the new people that I haven't seen before, as I've got people calling now, the foreclosures are spiking way up, and they turn HUD, which doesn't exist, and they turn Fannie Mae loose, which doesn't exist, and all of your foreclosing parties, which don't exist. It's going to be a hellstorm. By that I mean hell storm. It's going to get really bad. I've not been wrong about this ever, except for one thing. Anybody new to this, because it is going to be in 2 or 3 places. I believe the courts would straighten it out. And from 2012, I believe the courts would straighten it out until 2017, when I realized that there was one thing happening, is that I see all these people, especially in the Facebook groups, and they're collaborating. But what they're really doing is mixing each other up, because they're getting into myth and legend and the conspiracies and whatever. And it's because they're tired. They've been working for 12 years and they found the right answers. They were doing the right things in court. If you've not seen anything about me and you're doing this because you've been working on your deal for several years, what you found is no matter what you say to the judge, nothing happens, and only one thing can cause that: hidden reading it. This is a situation that the founding fathers actually planned for. What they didn't plan for is for lawyers to become a cult, and for them to slowly, probably not intentionally even, change the way they run their courts, and they run their courts wrong. They're putting the burden of proof on the borrower, and the borrower is the party being attacked. The foreclosing party, who today is not any of the banks we know, they're all new names. I'm going to give you some things that I think I want to talk about, but there's going to be a form that you get to under this video, and that form will take you to where you can give me detailed questions, details of your deal, and tell me what you want to talk about. I mean, it doesn't do me that good to teach if it's not a topic that you're on to yet. Maybe we've got to lead you to it. I was a ski instructor in Keystone, and I found that people might struggle for half a day while I looked around for the right things to say. My mom being this is a long time ago, being the one that came up with I said the craziest thing, and she took off like a big bird. I said knock-kneed and pigeon-toed, which is, pie, or, or whatever you call it, snowplow. Anyway, so I'm going to start out in this upcoming Zoom class, the free one, and it's more of a review to see what people want me to do and say. Now that'll be interactive for the first time, and I've not done it yet. I'm sure I can figure it out. And people can actually ask me questions, live, and everyone else on there can see the answers. And we'll talk about what we should be covering. Now, I probably won't try to cover everything that comes up because that would go on forever. We could pretty much be doing it for 72 hours straight, like a Jerry Lewis telethon. I don't have that kind of energy. First of all, I want to know is, what is your interest? What do you want to see me cover in a Zoom class about foreclosures? You've been fighting it for years. You came up with all this great stuff that the judge couldn't possibly deny, and he's denied it. And you still don't get rolled out. But that's going to quit. This thing about, I've been doing this for 12 years. I've kept people in their houses, and they haven't ever gotten to me yet. Well, they're getting to you. We're running out of houses. They're running out of houses to sell, and they've all been sold too cheap. Houses are very high right now, artificially high. Rents are high because of all the people who have been foreclosed. And so the landlord guys are completely arrogant and, demanding way too much. It's harder to get into an apartment than it is to buy a house right now. And that's bizarre. It's crazy. Another thing, and in other words, I want to know what you're looking at right now and what you think it is. And I don't want you telling me too much because I've heard it before. The most basic thing we talk about is chain of title. And the way I've always said that is, Dave Krieger, he teaches it to attorneys, chain of title. And he charges $697 a seat. He offered it to me for half price. But basically, I don't understand how you could not understand chain of title, but almost none of my clients do. To me, it's like putting the numbers 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the wall and saying, hey, turn your back. And I take out 3. And then I say, turn around. Which one's missing? I don't know. Today I was trying to think about it, and I thought it's like money. I should put down like a quarter, a dime, a nickel, and a penny. And say that's all money. It's all concerns money, just like all the documents in chain of title concern the chain of title, which is extremely important. But a dime isn't worth as much as a quarter. A quarter would be the promissory note, and we might even talk about it like that. Try to put it in perspective because it isn't hard. You just don't do it every day. I could take a Lamborghini, which no, I cannot take a Lamborghini, to the Lamborghini mechanic, and I wouldn't have the slightest idea if he was even cheating me. I wouldn't have any idea at all. I wouldn't know. And that's because we each do our own job every day. This is what I've done every day since I was 12. My dad got me into it. So anyway, one of the first things, the history. What is the cause of rampant mortgage fraud, and why is it so easy for them to cheat you? How can they stall you for so long? And what's your government and what are your courts doing about it? I think it's really important to know what's wrong, because you're just going to try to think of something new and grander and better, and it's going to be the judge not to read it. And when I say that, it's universal. It's across the country, every state. It's a big problem. So I'd like to go through that if everybody wants me to. Of course, I really want to talk about what people want to talk about, and I want to learn how to say the best possible answer. And I'm doing this one at a time. People can't afford it anymore. Maybe we ought to, people doing this class, when we finish it, maybe we should all sue at the same time, and I'll try to help everyone at the same time, but having given them the background so that it's easier for me to help. It's really hard to help whenever somebody doesn't understand what I'm trying to do. My second, what's caused of a rampant mortgage fraud. Now, I'm into constitutional law because of deregulation of the finance and investment and banking areas. There's no one watching, because if you have no regulation, then there's no need for regulators. And I used my NFL Mike Singletary offense problem there, is that what would an NFL football game look like if suddenly you said, hey, let's make it more exciting, we're going to have any rules this week. And so the Chiefs come, I'm going to say Chiefs because I'm from Kansas City, and the Oakland Raiders, I'm going to say them because we've always hated them. And they come down, it's the first game of the season, and there's no rules. They warm up, they look at each other, it's time to play, and there's no rules. What's that going to look like? It's going to look like a brawl. And, so I kind of liken the rules of the NFL as the regulations, and the referees are the regulators. With no rules, you'd have no referees because there's nothing to call. That's a situation we've been in since 1999 this time. It goes back to the Romans, but the big ones we've had are 1890, 1929, when they put in a lot of regulation because they figured out what caused the Great Depression. Exactly the same thing that caused our 2008, and I'm not going to say mortgage meltdown. It wasn't a mortgage meltdown. It was a Wall Street meltdown. And cleaning it up was a stupid thing to do. So we're going to be talking about constitutional law sooner or later, and we're going to be using the term deprivation of civil rights, because that's something that's going to be hard for a judge to get around. And that's what's happened. You've been deprived of your civil rights to due process because you were made to take on the burden of proving that someone did not have the right to foreclose on you, and really the burden was on the foreclosing party to prove that they did have a right to bring an action even before the court. Rule 17, you have a civil right to be sued by only someone who has the right to sue you. And that's an absolute civil right that was meant to stop this. Another things I like to talk about is there's no such thing as an assignment. An assignment of your deed of trust in a non-judicial foreclosure state, and of your mortgage in a judicial foreclosure state, as far as I can tell, and I've looked at hundreds of loan packages, and I've read about thousands, and I've never seen this done correctly. I've never seen a note. You won't either. You fight to get it. You go do your forensic audit, and what are you really doing? You're admitting that there's a note somewhere. You're looking for your note. Why? It's not your burden. It's their burden to say where the note is, and they don't have to have a note, and they don't have to have the original note. They don't have to have it there. They have to do something much harder. They have to prove with concrete and particularized evidence, those are legal terms, that they have a right to foreclose on you because they have money in your deal. You haven't paid them, so they have an injury. Injury, in fact, is going to be very important in this. And they have to prove that, and the judge has to review it, write it down, and give it to everybody. Never seen it. I've never seen them ever say they have an injury, that they have suffered an injury, in fact, and I've never seen them prove it with concrete and particularized evidence. Never seen anything remotely like that. Well, what are we going to do about it? The judge doesn't care. I mean, does he not know? He's one of three things. He's uninformed, stupid, or a crook. And I'm really wavering. I believe the courts have straightened it out for 7 years. And now I know they're not going to. We're going to have to straighten out ourselves. It's up to us. It's up to pro se, because the attorneys are scared of the judges. They push it on too hard. The judge can actually ruin their career. And that shouldn't even be a factor. And there are places that we can complain about that. There are places that nobody's thinking of yet. Okay, so I said there's no such thing as an assignment. So what does it come down to is that if you have to get your judge out of the way, then you sue him. If the judge has moved your case forward without that concrete and particularized evidence and without that proof without the claim by the foreclosing party that they've suffered an injury and you did it by not paying them the money that they put into your loan, they have to prove that. If the judge ignores that, that's root law. We're diluting the Constitution by letting this go on and on. I really believe we each have a civic duty to sue. I can really see that we need to sue together, and I can see it's going to be really, really hard to find an attorney. So anyway, Zoom class today is Sunday, and it's 22nd. So by Tuesday, I'm going to have a schedule up. I'd like to know, fill out that form. You're going to see this video probably Sunday, and you're going to have a chance to fill out that form. Tell me when you would want to see these classes. Do we do it every week? Do we do it twice a week? I'm going to charge for them because I have to make money now. I've spent $300,000 helping people and helping myself. Don't think I'm just helping other people. I helped myself, and I know I did. But I can't fund it anymore, and I got to bring mine to a close, or I'm going to lose $3 million with investment property and a $500,000 house, which is now $700,000, which Bank of America or U.S. Bank, which doesn't exist. Of course, U.S. Bank exists, but not U.S. Bank, the trust as trustee. Deutsche Bank does not exist. Green Tree does not exist as they say they exist. That they just don't. Fill out the form. Let me know what you want, and then by Wednesday we'll come up with some. I've thought about Sunday evenings. Is that the best time to do it? Do we do it every Sunday evening for 8 weeks? And I'll come up with a price structure that I think we can afford. And by the way, in this form, you tell me what you think you can afford, what you think it's worth, and then I've got to decide is it worth it to me, because I've got to work really hard and a lot of hours on a lot of things to get my life straight and try to get my property back and not lose anything else like my family. Anyway, Danny Hammond in Kansas City. Enjoyed talking to you, but I would really like you to help me decide what these classes should look like and what you believe that we can get done with it. Thank you very much. And I'm going to reach over here and turn that off.